boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday school, parents, grandparents, teachers of Sunday school and moral education. May you all be well and peaceful. We're going to tell you a story, a legend, a Malaysian story entitled The Legend of Batu Kawa. Now, the word legend means a story from the past, supposed to have a historical basis, but it is not really proven, right? So a legend may not be true, or it may be true, but what is important is the message, the important lessons we can learn from the story. And this story is a Malaysian tale with a moral, right? And the place Batu Kawa actually is in Sarawak. At the end of the presentation, you see the map of where Batu Kawa is in Sarawak. So let us show you the PowerPoint, and from there we can learn important moral lessons. So let us now launch the PowerPoint. So you can see the cover slide. The Legend of Batu Kawa, a Malaysian tale with a moral. Here, of course, you can see some animation, birds flying, and there's a little monkey jumping on top of the banana tree. And here you see some of the young people in this place, Batu Kawa, and they belong to maybe certain tribes in Sarawak, right? So from the dressing, you can tell they probably maybe of a certain tribe lah. And this is a cauldron. A cauldron is actually a very large pot. It can be made of metal, or it can be made of stone, or porcelain, or maybe some other materials, right? And they use it to cook large quantities of food like porridge, curry, and so on. So now let us start the story. I'll tell the story according to the text and then comment. So you can see this. This is another of the pictures. It's actually taken from a Malaysian book, right? And it is a popular tale from Malaysia, from Sarawak, retold by this author, Susi Long, Susi Leong, right? So now, of course, you can see the cat here, right? So let us start the story. Once there was a wedding feast in one of the houses in Batu Kawa in Sarawak. The bride and bridegroom sat together on a dais in the hall. Relatives and friends sat on the floor around them. Now you see, you have a wedding feast, all right? Very similar to what you see in a Malay wedding ceremony, right? The sanding, yeah. So very similar. And you can see the bride and bridegroom sitting on a dais. A dais is actually a platform, a raised platform. So the guests and maybe the relatives also, or the family members, will sit on the floor at a lower level, right, compared to the dais or the platform. So you can see this clearly, isn't it? So now let's go on to the next slide. Outside the house, a few villagers were busy cooking rice in a large stone cauldron. Right. Now, so you see, this cooking is done outside the house where the wedding feast was held. So, of course, here, in the village, you have many people who are very helpful. They will come to help, right? So they were cooking very, very big pot of rice, right? because they would have to serve the lunch probably to the relatives, family members, and the guests attending the wedding lah. So they were preparing lunch for everyone to eat once the wedding ceremony was over. So they have probably certain religious rites or cultural rites and ceremonies. Uh, then this bride and bridegroom will be proclaimed husband and wife, and then after that they will make makan lah. There's a celebration lah. So that's why these villagers were preparing the rice in the large stone cauldron. This is a cauldron. You can see they use the firewood. Huh? Okay. So now let us look at the next one. Then the cat walked into the house. Right? There was a cat that walked into the house where the wedding ceremony was held. You know what happened? One of the children took the cat outside. The child fetched the cat outside, and then you know what he did? Terrible. He pushed his tail into the fire in the cauldron, right? So now you saw the fire, right? So he pushed the tail into the fire, no. So the cat's tail caught fire lah. Wow, very painful lah. Meow. Oh, it was very painful and it jumped out, right? So the poor animal gave a loud cry and leapt away lah. Of course, it was so painful, so he leapt away, he jumped away lah. He ran around shrieking, screaming lah, shrieking, menjerit in pain lah. Imagine somebody were to burn your hair or burn your leg or hand, it would be very painful, isn't it? So that is a bad action to do, no? Right? To hurt an animal or hurt another person, even small insects also we must not hurt. Later on we'll comment more on what this would mean to do an action that is not wholesome, that is bad. So, the cat jumped away, right? But there were a few naughty children who chased the cat and kicked it. Oh, you see, they were thinking a lot of fun is very bad, isn't it? To kick the cat. If somebody were to kick you, or to burn your hair, how will you feel? Very painful, isn't it? So the cat also is a living creature. So you know that he can have pain and he can suffer. So the cat gave a loud yowl. Yowl will be like a shriek, right? A loud sound of pain, a yowl. He said meow, 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 probably like that so terrible. And these boys, they thought it was very funny. They just laugh. That is a terrible thing to do, isn't it? Right? Imagine you cause another animal to suffer and be in pain, and then you laugh. So they thought it was fun to see the cat jumping into the air. But the cat was in great pain, isn't it? So we hope that you, boys and girls, must never do this sort of action. It has a bad karmic effect, you shall see afterwards, right? I've seen during my younger days, children who actually did such things. Right? They would pour hot water onto the dogs or the cats, and then they would catch the butterflies and pull off the wings or the legs, and then they would go and catch the spiders, in the maybe rubber estate area or some greenery areas and then they would pull off the legs. All these are very, very bad, evil actions, causing pain to other living beings. So never, never do such things, right? Remember that. So this is just a story, but it teaches us very important things. Let's go on. None of the guests stopped the children from treating the cat in such a bad way. So of course there were adult guests who came out and saw this and they kept quiet. So they also were not doing the correct thing. They should put a stop to this bad actions, isn't it? Or they should teach the children, the young ones, not to do such horrible things. But they just ignore. So you see, even adults do not teach the proper morals to young ones, which is very sad. But then an old man walked up to the children. He was different. So this old man, he was very angry, seeing the children hurting the cat, hurting an animal. So he scolded them. He said, "Stop that at once." He scolded. "You must be very careful how you treat animals. If you harm a poor, helpless animal, great trouble will come upon you." Oh, actually, this old man, he knows some Dhamma, isn't it? He knows that it is not correct, right? It is bad to treat animals badly, to harm the animals or torture them, giving them pain. You were to do that, then one day great trouble will come upon you. Try to teach them, you see. But probably, these young ones sometimes do not listen to the advice of the older people, the elders, right? They think it's very fun. Uh, Especially nowadays, you can see they play these violent games on their smartphones or on their Sony PlayStation. So they always play all those violent, killing, aggressive games. So it's already ingrained, this violence is ingrained in their minds, though, right? So they don't feel the compassion and kindness for other living beings. Because they have been playing so much of those violent games, hurting the enemies. Of course, it's a game. Internet game, right? Or maybe on your smartphone, you have so many of all those games. But then, this will have an effect on your mind. So slowly your mind will turn to be less sensitive, less compassionate and kind. And you can harm the real creatures now, right? So be careful of this, right? In fact, it's advisable to play the good games that don't have violence and killing. It's very harmful, in the long run. So you see, the children did not say anything, as I said. They did not heed the advice of the wise old man. They did not follow. So the old man, what to do? Huh? They were not his grandchildren or grandsons. So after advising them and scolding them, they did not want to listen. So the old man left. So when the old man left, you know what they did? What did these boys do? They caught the cat again. They caught the cat again and toss it in the air, threw it up into the air. So imagine if the cat were to fall down, it might be killed also. Sometimes it could be killed, right? So the cat, of course, very frightened. So the cat, meow, meow, right, was very frightened. But the naughty children did not let it go. They kept on playing this sort of game, tossing the animal into the air, right? So you could see the picture very clearly. Right? So you find that animals don't harm even the other animals unless they want the food, you see, right? But here for playing a game to have fun, they do this sort of thing. And of some adults, they go to the forest or jungle and hunt the animals. And the animals are very, very scared, right? And then sometimes they kill the poor mother monkey or the mother deer. So the children very, very sad, isn't it? So Buddhists, we do not encourage anybody to take up the hobby of hunting because you are killing other living beings. There's so many good hobbies you can have, isn't it? Playing sports, right? Or playing good indoor games, right? Or maybe learning a musical instrument, right? Collecting. Now, not many people do collecting stamps. And of course, one very good hobby is to read. Because when you read, you learn a lot of things in it. That is a good hobby. So don't do those things that harm other creatures. So while they were still playing with the cat, tossing it up, suddenly a strong wind began to blow. It blew against the doors and windows. Of course, there was the house where the wedding ceremony was held. right? And then probably there might be a few more houses nearby lah. So bang clang, a lot of noise. The wind was blowing at a ferocious speed, and it was very biting, and it was howling. It could make that type of very, very horrible sound. It blew so hard, it overturned the big pot, the cauldron, right? And you could see actually the trees swaying, right? And some of the trees fell, right? Some, of course, will shed their leaves, some will just fall. So all the people at the wedding feast could not move against the strong wind, such a strong force of nature. What could you do, right? If you were to fight it, how can you fight the wind? Isn't it? So, sometimes so strong, in tornadoes and hurricanes in certain countries like the US, or, near the Caribbean area there, you have these hurricanes now. And these hurricanes are so strong, they can even lift the cars up. And then later on, there will be a real big storm and great rain will come and there will be floods, isn't it? Right? So a terrible thing. We are very lucky in Malaysia. We don't experience all those terrible things like hurricanes, tornadoes, right? Big, big storms that cause the floods to go to a really very terrible height, right? So people got to evacuate. But here, you could see the storm, the damage it could do. So all the people at the wedding feast could not actually escape and run. What are you going to do? So the whole place shook, Part by part, the house broke loose. The house where the wedding ceremony was held, part by part, the roof would blow off, right? And then, the kampung house standing on the stilts, then it collapsed, and then the windows and the doors would fall apart, and you could hear loud clap of the thunder, a really loud sound from the thunder, and then flash of lightning, After some time, then the terrible storm, right, stopped, right? The rain also stopped. The wind also stopped blowing. The wind died down. The sun came out again. But what happened to all the people? They had turned into large stones, right? Nobody was around already that area, right? The guests at the wedding feast turned into stones, and the bride and bridegroom also turned into stones, and the relatives also turned into stones, right? So you can see the stones now, right? Then if you go to this Batu Kawa, from what I gather, you can see this. There's a circle of stones. This circle of stones at the center, you could see two larger stones. And the story goes that these two larger stones were once the bride and the bridegroom. They were once the bride and the bridegroom. But then this tragedy struck and they turned into stone. And the stones around them were the guests, right? The tamu lah, the relatives. So you see such a tragic thing, this story, a legend, whether it is true or not true, not so important as the message that some evil things being done, then a disaster can come, right? So very easy to understand, isn't it? So now we will learn the Dhamma and moral lessons one by one. That's the most important thing, right? Where we can reflect and then also be very careful and tell our friends not to do all those bad actions which have bad karma, because they will have bad effects. So now, just now I told you at the end of the presentation, there will be this map to show the location of Batu Kawa. This is a small maybe kampung area, or now we have grown into a town. You can Google and you can see Batu Kawa now is quite a big town already, with buildings and roads and cars. But this one, according to the story way back in the past during historical time, so there's a kampung and things like that. So this is the state of Sarawak. Okay, now let's look at the oral lessons. Uh, do not cause harm or pain to living beings. That's very important. Just now I emphasized already, right? Never cause harm or pain to living beings. And I gave you the example. I've seen, right? Young, even sometimes adults also do that, right? You can see that these people have no compassion, right? They harm the little creatures like the cats, the dogs, or even the birds, right? Or the chickens, and then some, as I told you, harm the little insects like the butterflies, right? And then the grasshoppers. So this is a bad action, right? So now let's look at the second one. Oh, the second one cannot come out again. Harming or torturing or killing a living being generates bad karma. If you harm or you torture, seksa lah, or kill a living being, or could be a person or could be an animal, it will generate bad karma. And you see, when you think of it, the Buddha taught this, right? That if you kill, then of course, this life, you might have the effect already. The consequence can be very terrible, isn't it? Right? And you find that one of the possible consequence when you are reborn, you might be reborn with a very short life, or some people, they have many sicknesses lah, and it could be cacat lah, or you find that you have bodily pains lah. Why is it like that? uh, it has a connection with what you have done in the past. Maybe you have tortured, or you have harmed, or you have given pain to other living beings, or you have killed human beings or killed animals. So this has a bad karmic impact, right? So it generates bad karma, and we must make sure we don't do this evil action, right? Bad actions will bring sorrowful consequences, as I told you lah. This particular story emphasizes do not give pain, right? Or do not harm another living creature. In this case, they use the cat, right? But in our Dhamma study, we talk about human beings also. You find that now today, you also hear of human beings being tortured, right? They traffic human beings and turn them into like slaves. Don't give them proper food. Right? Even mothers, children suffer. Right? Terrible. So those people who are guilty of these evil deeds, causing pain or suffering, right, or sorrow to other people, will have the sorrowful or the very sad suffering consequences. It might be later on in this life. If not this life, then another life, the future life when you get reborn. So you have to be very, very careful. So these are some lessons. Now there's one here. I don't know, when I tested out, it would come out. But now it doesn't come out. Doesn't matter. First, maybe we can see the whole screen, and then we can see what is the missing one. It's probably got to do again with killing and harming other creatures, right? Now let us maybe look at the, we can look at here, you can see, maybe you see, right? You can see, as I say, it's got something to do with the killing, right? First one is not causing the harm or pain to living beings. The second one is do not kill, the killing of human beings or animals. This one is the causing of the harm and the pain, like torturing, for example. The killing is even more serious. You take another living being's life. Every creature values its life, isn't it? Right? Human beings, or even the dog, or cat, any living being, right? Animal will value its life. So if you kill, there is a price to pay. Of course, you kill a living being, like a human being, the law will catch upon you and you can be charged for murder. And then you can be hanged, right? Or sentenced to life imprisonment. And of course, if you torture animals or kill animals, and you have laws of certain countries, prevention of cruelty to animals, you can also be caught and then charged for cruelty to animals. So even the law, not talking about the moral law, right? So this is the second one. So harming, torturing or killing a living being, generates bad karma, the one I explained already. And then the last one, good begets good, bad begets bad. Do an evil action, you will get an evil effect or a sorrowful suffering. When you look at the world around you, you can see why some people have such short lives, why do some people have terrible diseases, sicknesses like cancer, even little ones also have cancer. Is it due to God giving them, right? Or then you see some born in such a wretched state, right? They are handicapped, right? Blind, or some are lame, some born without one hand, without one foot, all sorts of things you can see in the world. So that makes you think. I used to think about this when I was in primary school. Why? So then my teacher taught me about God and all this. I was wondering, wow, God made all these things. Then later on, when we learn karma, when we learn our Dharma lessons, we have the law of karma. Then we begin to understand. It's because of some past deeds, previous lives that you, as a, it's an ignorant person, not knowing, not knowing of the law of karma, you did the unwholesome action. So that is the result. Whereas on the other hand, if you do good actions, like being kind to animals, right? And then also generosity, do charity, right? And then also helping other people, all those good things, by the law of karma, you get good results, you get good effects. You'll be reborn maybe in the heavens as gods, angkong or devas. So happy, so peaceful, isn't it? That's the opposite. So this one is showing all the negative karma, not the bad karma. But you also can think of the good karma that you can do, right? Uh, so I hope you have learned some good dharma from this very simple Malaysian legend, right? A story coming from the past, supposed to be historical, but not really proven. Doesn't matter. Important, the lessons, the moral and dharma lessons. So I would like to thank all of you, boys and girls, students, and also parents, grandparents, and the teachers of Sunday school and moral education who have taken time, right, to follow this presentation, right, to reflect on the Dharma, and also to try to spread these Dharma lessons to other people. And the young ones can do that also. So we conclude by saying sadhu 3 times, right? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.